Hello everyone, this is a Mythical Dragon here, back with another Dragon Sen episode. We are on episode 43, and continuing on with a bit more mental health or important topics. We're gonna dive into one that's fairly important, and one that I actually delivered a speech on a few weeks back. And that topic is Imposter Syndrome. Now, for me, it's been interesting how this has manifested lately, as I've been achieving a lot of really great milestones in a number of different aspects of my life. But yet there's always like another side to it, another part that I'm like, oof, maybe I'm not doing as well as I thought, or maybe this success isn't really being felt, and that's part of imposter syndrome. So we're going to go into a little bit of a deep dive onto this. I'm not sure how long this episode will be, but I thought I'd explore it, share aspects of the speech I delivered a few weeks back, and kind of talk about more what's going on lately, in particular over the past week or two that I've been reflecting on the year. It's that time of year, of course, the end of November, heading into December, where we are reflecting on life and trying to figure out how well we managed 2021. And so part of that reflection will come in here, and we'll just talk about it all around the idea of imposter syndrome. So to begin, let me just explain what imposter syndrome is. I think most people have a rough idea of what this is for them or how it works, but let me give a formal definition. So imposter syndrome refers to an internal experience of believing that you are not as competent as others perceive you to be. And when it comes to this, it's usually applied to your intelligence and even sense of achievement. That's where it usually manifests. And for those that experience elements of perfectionism, or you're in a bunch of different social contexts or groups or organizations, you probably will feel this at some point in your life. So it's that, again, you are putting on a mask, you are doing everything that you feel like you should be doing, but you're not really feeling like you deserve the praise you're getting, or that you deserve to have the recognition that you are receiving either, or the promotion you just got. And it can manifest in so many different ways, and it's really hard to deal with because you should feel proud of yourself, but there's this big thing that's kind of pulling you down, saying, no, you don't deserve to feel pride. No, you don't deserve to have this recognition. It's a really weird little voice that kind of pops up in your head, and what do we do with this? And how do we manage it? And the way that this imposter syndrome can manifest itself, and some of the key characteristics of imposter syndrome include self-doubt. So, for example, for me in my personal life right now, I've hit some really great strides in my Toastmasters pathways, like both pathways I've enrolled in. I'm actually one level away from completing both. An amazing accomplishment. But then I realized that, yes, I'm doing very well in Toastmasters, and all the friendships I've made and the people I'm working with. However, none of that has really translated into other parts of my life. So then I have that self-doubt, like, oh, am I actually learning anything? Am I only really good at Toastmasters but nothing else in my life? And that's, again, that idea of self-doubt. And so that's one example there that you can maybe relate to. Another part of this is the inability to realistically assess your skills and competencies. So not being able to identify the things you're good at. So in Toastmasters, I can identify them fairly well. I am a great communicator. I seem to do well with my speeches. I can deliver organized, meaningful, and impactful speeches. I have great vocal variety. I have a great voice, apparently, a very clear, strong voice. I'm very organized. I always deliver on promises, and I'm always that kind of loyal, reliant person. However, when it comes to job hunting, for example, I can never find what I'm looking for, or I can never find the opportunities that I deserve, because a lot of the opportunities out there right now I can't see myself doing, despite having these skills that I've developed in Toastmasters. Or they're not exactly the job that I anticipate or that I would like, and that can drive me to not be able to really figure out if I should apply for it or not. Job hunting, not good at. Making new friends and socializing, not good at. So there's that kind of weird balance where I can assess very key skills when it comes to communication and confidence, but only in like one context of my life compared to the other contexts that I exist in. So like as a friend, as a family member, as a content creator, as a social media manager, or even just trying to advance in my career. I don't have the skills to do that, or I feel like I don't, despite what many people will say that I do. So there's that inability to assess that skills and the competencies you have as a person. And this next one is also quite relatable right now too. It's interesting that I'm going through these like bullet points again that I have here, because yeah, I'm really feeling it. So it's getting a little like, oh wow, yep, this is what I've been going through the past week or so. But the next point here, another characteristic of Imposter Syndrome, is attributing your success to external factors. These pathway levels that I've completed lately, I don't think I would have been able to do this if I wasn't a part of 3 Toastmasters clubs. If I wasn't always expected to fill in or to step up when someone can't do a speech or I can't find a speaker. I don't think I would have made it this far in both of my pathways without all these external things. That's what it feels like. While I've been working really, really hard on these things and working very hard and doing my best to learn everything that's in the pathway and the skills and the projects that I'm doing, and I feel that success. I feel like I've done a lot and grown. I still look at that like succession of like 6 levels I've done in a short period of time going, okay, well, it's because I'm part of 3 clubs and I can deliver a speech like 3 times a month if I wish, or 4 times a month, or for example 5 times in 1 week. But I always attribute it to the fact that, oh, a member of mine in a club can't do their speech now all of a sudden. Okay, well, I will quickly look through my notes and then I'll just write up a speech based on the notes in the project I just looked at, and I'll deliver it in their stead. And so a lot of my pathway progress does feel like it's been there because I had to step up and fulfill a role that I didn't expect to be fulfilled, really. And so I always attribute these pathway levels and all the projects I've done in the last 4 months, really, to that. To the fact that I have to step up, I have to fill in, and that's the only reason why I've gone so far. But really, that's not the truth. I hear that feedback from like my friend Austin in Toastmasters. I hear it from Daryl, Spam, you guys know Spam Waits. I hear it from even people on Twitter, my friends there, and family. I hear that like, no, it's because you're dedicated and you work hard and you want to learn and you want to better yourself and you want to grow and you've done all these things. You're doing really great. It's just so hard to believe that when it's like, no, if you look at the reality of it, I had speakers drop out 3 weeks in a row and I just stepped up. So it's just that really weird counterbalance there that while I have grown and I have much better pacing in these podcast episodes, for example, and I can organize my thoughts a lot better and communicate them a lot better too. I just can't fully contribute it to me and my personal growth and learning from the projects I've done. It's so weird. It's just so hard to kind of wrestle with that idea and to escape the reality or the logistics of how you got so far. It's really, really weird. And it shouldn't be like that, but for me it can be. And I think for a lot of others, it's easy to be like, oh, well, I wouldn't be here if my friend didn't nominate me for that award. I wouldn't be here if I didn't get pushed to do this project. Or I think I've heard Austin say this once before, like, he wouldn't have won Rookie of the Year, which, by the way, congrats, Austin. I don't know if you listen to these, but congrats. I don't think I would have made it Rookie of the Year without Mark, like another Toastmaster friend of ours. And so we always attribute it to other people. But we need to really start recognizing that, no, we've done it too. If we didn't listen to them and if we didn't work hard because of what someone else told us, we wouldn't have been here either. It's so hard to figure out how to manage that in our brains and organize it in a different way. And to really recognize that we should be proud of ourselves, that we have made it far, and that we are doing well. It's such a weird feeling, and that's why we've got something like Imposter Syndrome for us to phrase it better. If you just walked up to someone and said, hey, I'm struggling right now, do you mind me going through all this? I think it'd be really hard for someone to support you or to find a way to say the right thing, because yeah, it's hard because like you are successful, but then you're attributing it to other things. So then the immediate reaction is to be like, no, you did this. You were the one that said yes. You put in all the work. You put in all the effort. You made it. Congratulations. But at the same time, did we? And it gets kind of like a messy little circle. A messy cycle of, yes, I did great. But did I do it on my own? No, I didn't. But yes, I did. No, I didn't. And it kind of cycles like that. And that's where you can be stuck in imposter syndrome for quite a while. And when you are stuck in that cycle, a few more characteristics come into play from imposter syndrome. So I have a few more here to share with you. So yes, you are full of self-doubt. You can't recognize your skills and competencies that you've developed or learned or grown with, and you attribute the success from these things to external factors and not from your own growth or your own learning process. You do all these things instead, where you just have all this doubt in the world, I think is the best way to describe it. But then that also creates the fear of not living up to expectations. You have now set the bar high. You are now up there at the very top, or you're near the top, and now it feels like you need to keep raising that bar over and over again. A few ways that people do this, because of that fear of not living up to those expectations or that standard you've created for yourself, is by always saying yes to something. Someone asks you to do something and you're like, oh, absolutely, I'll do it. Or someone will ask you to take on a little extra task, maybe for a committee that you're on, or for an organization you work with, or something like that, and you'll just keep saying yes, so that way you get it done, and that way you put that pressure on yourself and to keep raising that standard. But that leads to overworking yourself or even overachieving. And that's another characteristic of imposter syndrome, is that overwork of yourself. I fall in that trap easily. I will be the one who, for me it's weird. We're going to go on a little tangent here for this point, because in my situation, I can recognize that the people I'm asking to jump on board with me or to work with me on things, it's great, it's super helpful, but then I think about their lives and how busy they are, or what they're doing, or what they've got on their shoulders, because I'm one of those people that will ask, hey, how are you doing? Let's go through it and see, like, get all that stuff off our chest, and then begin working. So then I really do get a good snapshot of what my friends are going through, what's going on in their lives. And then that makes me realize, okay, wait, I'm asking people who are going through a lot to step up and do more despite going through a lot. No, I'm going to stop delegating and I'm going to just take it on all of myself. That's where the overworking comes into play for me. And a little bit of always saying yes to things. That also happens quite a bit. But I'm one of those people that is like, no, you know what? I'm going to run the whole social media portion or campaign for one of my Toastmasters clubs, the entire thing by myself, because the other club coach that I have or the other members in the team don't seem interested in it, or they've got other things going on, or they're part of other clubs, or they're moms and they got family. And then it's like, well, no, I'm not going to ask people to make content if they're too busy, so I'll just do it, despite being very busy myself. That's the cycle I get into, is that I'll say yes, I'll form a team, I'll join something and be like, yeah, this is great. And then suddenly I am taking on a lot more than I expected, and I'm busy all the time and I don't get a break. And then I overwork myself. I overachieve, 6 levels in 4 months, that's overachieving. And it all has to come down to this imposter syndrome, which is crazy. It's crazy how this little thing becomes a lot bigger than you realize. And how we have to manage it or deal with it is really, really tricky. I will get to that. I promise. I do have some research to share in that regards, but right now I'm talking about the nitty-gritty of imposter syndrome and how it really manifests in my life right now and in other examples and other ways too. So overworking, overachieving yourself, and not living up to expectations, or the fear of it, that you can't deliver when you want to. Yeah, it's all part of that crazy cycle of trying to feel like a good person, but never ever really getting there because of all of these things. That the little voices in our heads are what they're telling us. And it's really hard to get out of that cycle. The last characteristic here is one that I haven't felt yet, but maybe a little bit more recently. And that's sabotaging your own success. Eventually, if you keep going through these cycles of, oh my goodness, I did this really amazing thing, but did I deserve it? Did I really do it by myself? No, all these other people did it, or all these other people helped me get here. But is it enough? Oh no, I've set the bar so high, I need to keep meeting that bar, I need to keep meeting that standard, I need to work harder. You keep going through that cycle, and that leads to burnout. It leads to exhaustion. It leads to even bitter emotions or feelings. And that's when you could sabotage yourself. And this can come in many different forms. For example, it could be just like leaving something, quitting it, and leaving it, even though you've just got a major achievement, like fairly recently. Let's say 2 weeks later, you're dealing with all of this behind the scenes. You're not sure how to manage it. You've said yes to so much, and then all of a sudden you hit that wall of like, I can't anymore. I can't do this. I need to go. I need to stop. And that could be sabotage. You could do it also in other ways where you could be really working on something hard and you're sharing it with a team. And instead of asking to put your name on it, you're like, oh, no. Leave my name off of it. I don't need to be part of it. I don't need to be recognized for this. And that could be sabotaging too. Because even though you played a crucial role in whatever you are working on as a team, you are choosing to ignore that and have no form of recognition despite all of the effort you've put into it. So again, sabotaging. And that's a scary point to get to. Now, when I say I've been feeling it a little more recently, it's because I can get through a whole week of non-stop Toastmaster stuff, non-stop events, non-stop meetings, also working 32 hours overnight, and just go. I can get through all of that, feel really great. Then all of a sudden I'm hit the weekend, or I've hit a down period. And as soon as I hit a down period, that's when I almost get ready to quit. Or I get ready to walk away from it, or I get ready to stop. And that's a scary feeling. Because I know that if I do walk away from it all, like Toastmasters, for example, I wouldn't have anything left in my life that gives me the purpose and the joy and the growth that Toastmasters does give me. I would have very little friends. I would have no social life. I would just be working, going home, working, going home. I think that's why I've never sabotaged yet or have quit. It's because I do have that realization that if I were to walk away from it all right now, what would I be left with? I would be left with nothing. I would have done all that hard work, all of that progress, almost made it to the end of my pathways, very close to finishing, just to walk away? No, that's not me. That is not me. But I've gotten to that point close a couple times recently, and I'm really glad that I have the ability to stop, I have the ability to be like, no. Look at the bigger picture. Look at where you are in your life right now. Look what you've gained. Do you really want to throw all that away? No. And I think that's a good way to cope with it too. And I think that's actually a strategy of mine, at least, and one that's presented in the research too, is to be like, whoa, pause, think about what you've gained, think about what you've learned, and maybe take a little break, but don't give up and don't quit. And try to celebrate your wins in whatever way you can, because we need the wins in our lives. We need those positive moments, and we need to feel like what we're doing is worth it. So try to avoid that last characteristic of sabotage, because once you hit that point, it's so hard to come back from that. It's almost a whole reset, and that's scary. Very, very scary. So that's a lot there on Imposter Syndrome. So quick review. Imposter Syndrome is that idea of believing that you are not as competent or as good as others perceive you to be. And it can be related to how smart you are or how good you are at something, or even your achievements that you've recently gotten. That is how this syndrome, Imposter Syndrome, can start creeping out. And when it comes to creeping out, it comes in the form of self-doubt, the inability to realistically assess your skills and competencies, the things you're good at. It also looks like when you attribute your success or your recent achievements to external factors and nothing what you've done. So my friend got me here. I had to do this out of necessity. I didn't learn anything from it. I just had to do it. That idea. It also comes out of the fear of not living up to expectations, so you feel like you're going to let people down if you don't do something, or if you don't keep working at the pace you're working at, then people are going to be let down, or you're going to let everyone down, or you are going to suddenly be judged differently than where you are right now. So the fear of not living up to expectations. This also leads to overworking yourself, always saying yes, overachievements, doing all that you can to really prove to yourself that you are a good person, despite everyone already saying you are a good person. There's that idea. And then the final characteristic, of course, that's sabotage, where you up and leave and quit, you let the burnout take over, or you just give up on recognition and you walk away. That can be a really bad kind of final step or final way that imposter syndrome can affect your life. So what does this all mean? What can this all do? Well, it does mean that out of all of these things that we've talked about, the competencies, the self-doubt, the attributing success to other people or other factors, etc., 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 means that there are 5 types of imposter syndrome, actually. So this will be quite relatable, I think, for a lot of us. So let me go through these 5 types. We have the perfectionist. So that is one type of imposter syndrome that people can go through, is the perfectionist. I have to have everything organized and in perfect order to be successful. And if it's not, then that self-doubt comes in. Then the other characteristics creep in, like overworking yourself to make sure everything looks great and perfect before you can move on to a task. That overworking yourself. There's the perfectionist. And that one is really hard to deal with. Perfectionism is also a whole other thing. But sometimes if you feel like you've never been a perfectionist in your life, and then all of a sudden you are, that could be the imposter syndrome. That could be a side effect of what you are going through and how you're feeling, is the perfectionist idea that I have to have color-coded sticky notes. I have to have my pens in the same spot every day. I have to complete the same things every week. I have to go through the same routine every day. That if you've never had to do that before in your life to feel successful, and suddenly you are, that could be imposter syndrome. It could be a factor of it. Then there's the superhero. This is the second type of imposter syndrome, and this means that you are that person who's saying yes to everything to help everyone else out, and you're not really doing much for yourself anymore at that point. So that is saying yes to everything that everyone asks you to do because you believe it helps them, and you want to help others, and you feel like it'll be good for them, but you keep forgetting about what good it could do for you. And then you start not taking care of yourself, and you leads to that burnout, the exhaustion, and yeah, even heroes can fall apart. Even heroes can burn out. Even heroes can make mistakes if you keep doing those things. If you keep thinking about others and not yourself. So there's the superhero part of imposter syndrome there. Then we have the expert and the natural genius. I'll talk about both of those types together. So the expert, they feel like they know a little bit of everything, and they want to make sure that that knowledge is shared and valued. And so you'll go out of your way to do that. You want to make sure that what you bring to the table is exactly what everyone needs, and if it isn't, you'll do everything that you can to become an expert on what is expected of you, so that when you show up, you look great. You look good, or that you're able to help people because you are the expert in that area. A better example of this will be kind of what I've done lately. I became part of the marketing team for our area, in Toastmasters because I feel like I'm the expert in social media. So like the purpose of Facebook, the purpose of Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc., and how we can utilize these social media platforms to market Toastmasters and our meetings and everything like that. So I feel like I'm an expert. And so I will do all the research I can so that I can come to the table prepared to share those insights and to experiment with them and to help other clubs do the things that I researched. That's the expert. It's a lot, and it means you are working a lot and you're doing a lot of research and you're dedicating almost your entire free time to something. And again, that's that burnout idea, even the perfectionist idea a little bit, superhero too. All of these kind of weave in and out with each other. But the key factor of the expert is that you want to know everything you can about something so that you can feel valuable and you can feel needed and that you are helping others. That's kind of the expert. Then we have the natural genius, who kind of a similar boat with the expert. You naturally know how to pick up things quickly. You're a fast learner. You almost say yes to everything because you feel like this could challenge you and you could feel like you can become better at it and get to know it and then become a genius in it. You feel like everything that you try to do naturally, you're good at. So let me rephrase that. Everything that you go to do or try to do, somehow you're just naturally good at it. And that it feels good for a little while until you keep doing the new thing over and over again and you bounce to something else and those skills get a little muddled, and that's when the self-doubt can kick in, all those things. So the natural genius is great, but it's a lot. It can be a lot. I don't think I can relate to the natural genius part very well because I don't see myself as a fountain of knowledge in any aspect of my life. But I know some people who just are naturally good at everything they put their hearts to, and they keep wanting to do more and more and more because of it. And that can be really dangerous too for stress levels, your mental health, your exhaustion, the burnout, the stress, all of that. So absolutely. And the last type of imposter syndrome is the soloist. I think I explained that very, very well a little bit in the last part that I talked about, and that is you are the one who will take it all on yourself to do every single task on every part of the team from start to finish. You're the one doing it all. You don't delegate. You don't find a balance. You feel like because everyone else is busy, you have to take it all on yourself. That's the soloist. And I fall into that category very easily. And I think it's because that's the way I handle life and friendships. If I know the people in my life are going through a lot, I will just step up and do it. I will do all the cleaning. I will do all of the task work. I'll do all the organizing, the agenda planning, the social media marketing. I will go find the guest speakers. I'll develop the themes. I will do the promotion of it. I'll create the event. I'll use the event features. I will do it all and not delegate because I feel like I could do it well, and I feel like I've got the time, quote unquote time, to do it, and I know that others are going through a lot, and I feel like it's unfair to ask them to help out. And that's the soloist. And that's heavy. These are really, really heavy if you think about it, or if you're going through it a lot lately. It's heavy and you're like, what do I do? How do I stop doing this to myself? And that's the question I'm still trying to answer. How do I stop doing these things to myself? And that's really hard to answer. But there are a couple things that I've researched and I've been trying to do to help out. I haven't been very successful with these lately, but hopefully the refresher with this episode today can help. And maybe some of these strategies you can use for yourself if you are feeling this way regularly or here and there, or even if you're experiencing it for the first time. Maybe a few of these things can help you pull yourself out of that cycle of self-doubt, out of that cycle of not being able to recognize your strengths, or you being proud of yourself, or that recognition. Maybe these coping strategies can help you. So let's look at some of this. The number one advice that I've seen across the board and through all my research when it came to my speech that I did on this is to share your feelings with others. Having someone you can just admit to and tell them that this is what you're going through can help at least alleviate it off your chest. At least it's spoken, you've said it out loud, and you had someone who was willing to listen. Having those three things can suddenly feel like your world is a little lighter. It doesn't feel so heavy now on your chest or on your shoulders or in your head, and the muddled feeling that you get of going through that self-doubt or attributing your success to external factors, those characteristics, you can start peeling away at that. Because then someone can be like, wow, it sounds like you've done a lot. You've come so far. I'm sorry that this is how you feel afterwards, but I want you to know that. And then they can kind of help point out the things they've seen from you, and having that reaffirming recognition can help a lot. Unless you're me. Well, okay, sharing my feelings with you guys even here today in the podcast feels so good. It's getting off my chest. I've been really stuck in my head about all of this for the whole weekend leading into this week. So I know this is Thursday that this is posted, and whenever you watch this, but leading up to posting this is really heavy. And trying to get out of it's hard. But already just even sharing it and admitting that this is what I'm going through or how I go through this, I feel lighter already. So it's just about finding that person that you can share this with, and hopefully they can help you feel a little lighter. That they can help you feel a bit more human. A bit more proud of yourself, or you can recognize yourself and what you've been doing a little bit better. So just that release of emotion can help a lot. Another way to cope with imposter syndrome is to really take a close look at your abilities. And this could be through writing down your recent accomplishments and how you got there. And the emphasis is on how you got there. So don't write down things like, oh, my friend invited me to this program and I decided to do it. Eliminate anyone else from that picture, or anything else besides you. From this program, I was able to develop my organization skills, and that led to me being invited to deliver a speech every year afterwards. That's an accomplishment I've had recently. I was invited to do a speechcraft, or a teaching module, or a public speaking teaching module is what it's called. And I did it because I was sort of voluntold to do it, and I want to attribute that success that I've been feeling after each week to that person who got me there. But if I really think about it, I have done well in this teaching program. I have come into every session prepared. I know that I've been giving really good feedback. I delivered a speech that the U of A, or the university that I'm a part of, wants me to come and deliver it again next year. That is me. I did that. That is an accomplishment I did, despite being invited to this from another person. Eliminate that and look at what you've done with that invitation. Look at the accomplishment you've received, or the recognition you've gotten from that, from what you've been able to take out of that, or take with that. So really we're putting the I statements down instead of, oh, well, Austin invited me to do this, so I did it and I was good at it. No. Eliminate the other people, eliminate the other factors. Focus on what you've learned from it, what you've gotten from it, and you can recognize that success and recognition from that moment by doing that. And when you do that, comes to the next part here, or another idea to cope with imposter syndrome. Begin questioning that little doubt, little voice in your head. The one that tells you that you aren't doing enough, for example. Like, let's say you're stuck in the overworking cycle, like, oh, I have to do more. I realize that this person hasn't done that yet, so I'm just going to go do it. Start questioning that a little bit, going, wait a minute. I have done X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D. That's a really awful way to phrase that. I have done A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Why is my mind telling me that I should take on F, G, and H? Why do I feel like I need to do this right away? Why am I forcing myself to do more when I still have to focus on A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or A, B, C, D, E, F? Begin questioning yourself. Why am I doing this? Why do I feel like I need to do this? Do I need to do this? Because that reflection and that kind of critical thinking of yourself can be like, well, I'm doing this because I'm on a roll and I feel like if I stop, I will quit. No, that's not going to happen. If I stop, it just means I've done a lot and I need a break, and I'm allowed to take that break. So really question those thoughts and that self-doubt. Am I really only successful because of another person? No. I put in the hard work. I put in the time. I've taken the feedback and applied it. I've done this. I have done this. And that's one way you can cope with imposter syndrome, is that questioning of what your thoughts are telling you, or what you are actually physically doing. Because then you can realize, like, whoa, okay, I've done a lot lately. It's time to step back, even for just a few hours. Take a break, rethink, reorganize myself, and then do more if I feel like I can at the time. If I can't, no big deal. I had a great day. I got a lot done, and it's time to stop. That's another way to just kind of really take care of yourself. More than really dealing with imposter syndrome, it's taking care of yourself in the end. And that's a great way to do it. And now the next part, the next way to cope, or to try to cope with imposter syndrome, is to stop comparing and start listening. Stop comparing and start listening. What does this mean? I'm pretty bad at comparing myself to others. And admitting that out loud is kind of hard, but for example, lately I've been seeing how hard Austin's been working on a lot of stuff. So my friend Austin in Toastmasters, and I feel like I haven't done as much, or I feel like I haven't, or I feel like I don't got a lot going on like he does. And so I think that's also why I've taken on more work and more things, and I've been managing the whole club pretty much by myself a little bit at one point. But then he gets awards. So he did really well at the speech contest last year, making it all the way to the district level, which is really, really high in Toastmasters. And I did that exact same speech contest and only made it to area. So that's the first time I started comparing myself to him, was during the speech contest. And then this year, it's been through our involvement with our 3 clubs. I realized that I feel freaking busy, and being the VPE of 2 clubs, the club coach for one of those, and being a member of the 3rd, but he's an executive member of all 3 clubs. He's a club coach with me at the one club. And so I feel like he's doing way more than I am. And I feel like that's unfair in a way. And that I need to do more to kind of help him out. And so I keep doing that comparison. And then he has gotten another accomplishment lately too. He won Rookie of the Year for the district. And I believe it is because of his involvement with so much last year too. And his first year Toastmasters and his accomplishments at the speech contest. So it makes sense that he won Rookie of the Year, but I was also nominated for that award and didn't get it. And so I've been in that mode lately of comparing myself to him, and hearing him praise me is so weird. I'm like, no, why are you telling me this? You're doing way better than I am, or you're doing more than I am. Stop praising me. And I need to not do that. Because although he may be doing more, what I'm doing isn't less than what he is doing. Everything I've taken on, everything I've been doing, every speech I've delivered has been with a purpose, or has been for my own growth and my own gain and my own success. And so I need to start listening to that, you know? I need to start listening to when others say that I've done good. I need to listen to them and accept it and embrace it. And instead of going, well, thanks, but Austin does that, so he's doing better than I am. I need to stop doing that. Yeah. It's just really hard. I don't know where this rivalry came from between him and I, or if I manifested it myself. But sometimes that gets hard, and I see like him shine farther than me, and it's like, what? I'm working hard too. When will I get that recognition? If ever. And it's such a stupid way to think. So I have to start listening to what others are telling me, accept the feedback and the recognition, and recognize that, no, you're doing great, you're on your own path, and you'll be recognized for all of that in your own time. So I have to really learn to do that. And the last 2 here, to cope with imposter syndrome, is to lean in and accept your feelings. So right now, I feel like I'm not coping well with my imposter syndrome, so I'm feeling a little sad and hard on myself. But I'm also sitting here going, I got this. I can get out of this funk. I can get out of it. I've got this beautiful set of resources here to start using at my disposal, and I'll get out of it. I'll not feel this sad or less than anymore. I don't deserve to feel that. I'm doing great, and I will pull myself out of it, but I am feeling sad, and I am feeling less than, and that is so hard to admit out loud, because I do a lot of work. I have come really far. I am 1 level away from completing both pathways, so technically 2 levels, I guess, but I can't discount that. That's great. It's a huge thing. But I have to accept the feelings that I am feeling right now too, and learn to rework that and reframe it. And so that's what lean in and accept your feelings are. It's like, okay, in this moment, I feel sad. I feel less than. That's it. That's the thing. That's what I've identified. Okay, now I know how I feel about it. Now I need to look at how to get myself out of that. And so that leads to that last way of coping, is to let it motivate you further. You are feeling this way because you recognize that your thoughts have got you to this point. Let's work on reframing it, rethinking, reworking how you are looking at yourself and what you've been doing. Find that positive little spark and find that recognition for yourself and keep going forward. Complete those levels. Get those last few projects done. Work on the things you personally want to work on and let it only take you further. That's how you can get out of imposter syndrome. It may not work all the time. Like, I think this comes and goes for people. It certainly comes and goes for me. But if you can come back to a few of these coping strategies here and there, hopefully it'll feel less rough the next time it comes. Or maybe it'll not last as long the next time it hits you. So really, going through imposter syndrome with all of you today was a way for me to go through it for myself, figure out where it's coming from, and now I've got these strategies and steps to slowly pull myself out. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull myself out of this tomorrow, but I will go through some of these coping strategies or these methods and see it kind of work over the course of the week, or even 2 weeks, or how long it takes. But just to kind of keep practicing these things will help a lot. So what are the coping strategies for imposter syndrome again? Share your feelings with others. Really lean in and accept those feelings too. And that way you can recognize what's going on and you can see like, oh, I think this is imposter syndrome. I've identified it. Now I can work myself out of it. Look at assessing your abilities and write down your recent accomplishments. Make sure you use the accomplishments that directly relate to you and don't attribute it to others. Just write down what you've learned and what you've gained from that accomplishment versus, oh, I got this award because of someone else. Avoid using that language saying, I got this award because I worked hard, I was organized, and I didn't give up. Write down your accomplishments in that way. Begin questioning your thoughts. Why do I feel like I need to be better? Why do I feel like I need to be like Austin? Why do I feel like I need to do more? Question yourself and answer them honestly. Answer those questions honestly, and then again, begin that reframing and reworking. Again, and then also stop comparing, start listening, start accepting the feedback you're getting, stop looking to others who seem to be doing better than you, because that doesn't exist, and really just recognize that I am where I'm at right now because of me, and I know I've got more to go, but I'm glad I've got more to go, because that means you can motivate yourself, and you can get yourself through all of these complex emotions that imposter syndrome can create. And that last thing is motivation. Turn all of this anguish or sadness or less than feelings and find a way to motivate you. Be like, okay, I feel less than. Why do I feel less than? Because of these things. Okay, well, tomorrow then I'm going to plan out my projects for the next few months so I can finish my pathways. I'm going to then communicate with others and tell them that this is what I want and what I need. And again, that's how you can motivate yourself. Asking yourself all these questions, recognizing what traps you're falling into, and then finding the little steps to get out of it. And hopefully that will get you out of imposter syndrome eventually. Whether that be tomorrow, in a couple of days from now, a few days from now, a week, 2 weeks, a month from now. I promise you, the more you really look into it and look into yourself, it'll be easier to identify what's going on, and then you can look at what you need to do to get out of it. And I think that's the best way to handle it. So for example, I'll just kind of model this for myself now, when I've had the time to think about it out loud with all of you. Hello. But for me, what I'm going to do tomorrow, or even maybe later today, is I'm going to sit down and look at what I want to accomplish in the next few months and when I want to accomplish things regarding Toastmasters and pathways. Because then I can focus on that pathway part of Toastmasters. And then there's things that are going to happen a couple months after all of that, like the contests that I'm going to be organizing and chairing. Okay, what do I need to know about all that? And what are all the steps I need to complete that? And then along the way, as I create these steps, these goals, and kind of create that plan for myself, as soon as I hit one of those, I can check mark it off and write down those accomplishments, saying, wow, I did this. From that experience or that project, I learned this, this, and this. And that I can manage this, this, and this. Because that's all about recognizing your strengths, your skills, and your abilities, and how well you're doing. So that's what I'll be doing in the next roughly 6 to 7 months, is to focus on finishing my pathways, scheduling those projects and when I want to do them, sharing my goals with others, and then planning that area contest. And I'm going to use that to motivate me. It's a lot, and I don't feel fully out of the imposter syndrome yet, but hopefully in the next few months, by taking all of these steps, using some of these coping strategies, I can hopefully get rid of this feeling, this imposter syndrome. It may come back in waves, it may come back and forth, but at least I know ways that I can manage it and pull myself out of it for when it does come back. That was a lot of information. I talked about imposter syndrome for quite a bit of time here, actually. I hope you guys found it interesting. You've learned a little bit more about what it is and how it works for you and others and for myself. And that I hope you found some value in this, because you're not alone. We are all in this together. And you are not an imposter. You are you, and you are killing it. You are doing great. I promise. You're doing way better than you think you are. And I think I'm telling myself that as much as I am telling that to you. So with that, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed the topic and you learned something. Let me know what you think below. Or if you've got other strategies or ways to cope with it, please let me know down below. And I will see you next week with another topic and another podcast episode. Take care, everyone, and bye-bye.